All right, today we're diving deep into one of nature's most incredible and deadly creations, venom. You know, in every single corner of our planet, from the darkest shadows of a forest floor all the way to the deepest parts of the ocean, you'll find this amazing power. And it's a power that isn't measured in raw strength or speed, but in something far more elegant: perfect, invisible chemistry.
I love this quote because it gets right to the heart of it. See, venom isn't just some random chemical. Think of it more like a finely tuned formula, a story that's been written and rewritten over millions and millions of years of evolution. It's designed to do a few things, and do them perfectly. Hunt with ruthless precision, defend with incredible cunning, and, above all, guarantee survival, no matter the cost. And this power, it's not just stuck in one place. It is everywhere. You'll find it hiding in steamy jungles, crawling just beneath the desert sands, and even floating silently in the deepest oceans. It's truly a universal language of survival. So, this all brings us to the big question, right? The one we're really going to tackle today. Why? Why would evolution give some creatures such, well, disproportionate power? I mean, how is it that a single strike can take down an animal many times its size in just minutes? Let's go on a little global expedition to really get to the bottom of the why behind venom. All right, so our first stop is the Brazilian rainforest. And let me tell you, this place is a hyper-competitive arena. The struggle for life here is constant. And that pressure, it demands some pretty extreme solutions. Down on the forest floor, where it's almost always dark, you learn a very important lesson. Being lethal has nothing to do with being big. So, in this incredible chemical arms race, we see two totally opposite but equally brilliant strategies. Now, first, a really quick but important distinction. Venom, that's injected. It's a weapon delivered by a bite or a sting. Poison, on the other hand, is ingested or absorbed. It's more of a passive defense. So you've got the aggressive hunter, who wields venom like a sword, and then you have the passive defender, who wears their poison like a shield. Let's start with the sword. Okay, meet the Brazilian wandering spider, and just look at that classic warning pose. This is not a spider that sits around building a web and waiting for dinner. Nope, it actively hunts on the forest floor. Its weapon of choice is a really potent neurotoxin. Basically, it just shuts down the communication between nerves and muscles. The result? Paralysis in seconds. But here's the thing, it's super smart about it. Producing venom costs a ton of energy, so it's a precious resource. It's only used when it's absolutely necessary. So that's the sword. But what if your weapon wasn't a sword at all? What if it was more like a suit of armor? Let's check out a creature that takes a totally different route in this chemical war. One that doesn't even need to attack, because its very existence is a warning sign. Okay, so the golden poison dart frog. This little guy is basically a master of biochemical recycling. See, it doesn't actually make its own poison from scratch. Instead, it eats things like ants and other insects that are full of chemical compounds called alkaloids. Then, its body takes those alkaloids and synthesizes them into one of the most potent toxins in all of nature, toxin. But wait, you're probably thinking, how does it not poison itself? Well, that's the final brilliant step. It has a unique genetic mutation that makes it completely immune to its own poison. It's a perfect chemical shield. And all that brilliant coloration? Yeah, that's not just for show. It's a defense strategy called aposematism. I mean, think about it. In the dense green world of the rainforest, these super vibrant colors, bright yellows, reds, blues, they just pop. They're basically screaming a universal message that predators have learned a hard way over generations. Do not eat me. It's a language of survival, written entirely in color. All right, let's switch gears. We're leaving the abundance of the rainforest and heading somewhere completely different, the harsh, unforgiving desert. And out here, life operates under a completely different set of rules. It's a strict economy. Every single action is a calculated risk, and every resource is incredibly precious. Out here, where water and energy are so scarce, venom becomes this unbelievably valuable asset. I mean, you could think of it as a biological resource that's just as precious as water, and you absolutely cannot afford to waste it. In the desert, efficiency is everything. And the Arizona bark scorpion is the absolute master of this principle. It doesn't really rely on sight. Instead, it uses these specialized sensors to feel for the tiniest vibrations in the ground. But what's truly amazing is how precise it is with its venom. For small prey, it might just use its pincers, or maybe deliver a tiny, controlled dose. It saves that full, potent, and metabolically expensive strike for when it's facing a major threat. It's all about conservation. But get this, The scorpion's venom does more than just kill. It also cooks the meal. It's a process called external digestion. Basically, the venom's enzymes start breaking down and liquefying the prey's tissues from the inside out. This essentially turns the victim into a pre-digested, drinkable meal, which saves the scorpion a ton of precious energy. It's gruesome for sure, but wow, is it efficient. And you see this whole theme of efficiency all over the desert. It's not just the scorpion. Take the Gila monster, for example. It doesn't have these big fangs for a quick injection. Instead, it has this slow chewing bite that delivers venom over time. Why? Because it allows it to subdue its prey without having to engage in a long, costly, energy-draining chase. It's the same principle. Maximum results, minimum effort. Okay, so from the flat desert floor, we're now going to plunge into the vast three-dimensional world of the ocean. And down here, the rules of the game change completely. In this huge open space, there's often nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. So a totally different kind of strategy has to win the day. Just look at these 4 incredible marine tacticians. You've got the cone snail, which uses a toxin-tipped harpoon for a precision ambush. Then there's the stonefish, the master of camouflage with its venomous dorsal spines. You have the box jellyfish, which is basically a drifting net of microscopic stingers. And finally, the blue-ringed octopus, which gives this beautiful, vibrant warning right before delivering a paralyzing bite. 4 totally different creatures, all playing by the same deadly rulebook. So what's the common thread here? Well, it's that in the open water, a long chase is often just a huge waste of energy. The ultimate advantage isn't speed or strength. It's a single, silent chemical strike that just stops prey dead in its tracks. In the ocean, paralysis is way more effective than pursuit. Survival here is written in molecules. All right, so we've explored these incredibly different environments. Now we can finally tackle the last big questions. First, how does this unbelievable power even evolve in the first place? And second, what happens when another animal learns how to fight back in this never-ending arms race? Well, the evolution of venom isn't really a single event. It's more like a perfect evolutionary storm. It all starts with intense pressure from the environment, fierce competition for food and survival that forces animals to innovate. For some, like the dart frog, it means repurposing toxins from their diet. But on a molecular level, it often starts with a simple, random genetic mistake. A gene that codes for a normal protein, say in saliva, gets accidentally copied. Over millions of years, this spare copy is free to mutate and evolve, eventually being repurposed into a gene for a deadly toxin. And remember, because venom is so costly to produce, this whole process only sticks around when the survival benefit is absolutely huge. Which, of course, brings us to the other side of this arms race. Because for every deadly weapon evolution creates, it's also working on a defense. And there is no better example than the legendary honey badger. This animal has developed a truly remarkable resistance to snake venom. Its blood actually has special proteins that neutralize the toxins. On top of that, its skin is super thick and loose, making it incredibly hard for fangs to even get a grip. The honey badger didn't just survive the arms race, it's actively fighting back. So after saying all of this, the paralysis, the external digestion, the instant death, it's pretty easy to start thinking of venom as, well, malicious, right? Maybe even cruel. But it's not. The real takeaway here is that venom isn't evil. It's not some random act of cruelty by nature. No, it's one of nature's most sophisticated and elegant solutions to the single biggest problem every living thing faces, just trying to survive another day. And that really captures the essence of what we've talked about today. The biggest, most important battles for survival aren't always fought with tooth and claw. They're often fought on a microscopic scale. They're won not with brute force, but with brilliant chemistry. And in that silent molecular world, venom is and will always be one of evolution's most perfect killers.